YouTube, here, go live. Welcome to YouTube and to Zoom. Today I have my Zoom room open. We're about to do 10-minute sketches of Syrian musicians, and I have put a link in the description to some grassroots fundraising to support the earthquake victims in Syria. And you can join me in Zoom. There is a link in the description below. You'll have to be very careful in finding your way there because we have had some bots and trolls join in the past, so I had to make it a bit more clever, but you're a decent human and you'll be able to figure it out. But you can come and join us in Zoom. I have some friends over there. It's nice to see you. Yeah, so you can join and we can hang out and we can talk, and we're going to sketch for the next 2 hours. And I'm doing live streams every day this month, 10-minute portrait live streams every day. And many of you have been joining us. Hi, Verena, Tom, and Monica. Hello to everyone in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from. Hi, Omar Marta. Yeah. So, Summit Karen, or Summit Karen. Super cool having you here. I have collected a bunch of reference. I have more reference than we have time for. There's so much incredible Syrian music that I've been listening to recently. And if you're interested, last time, 2 weeks ago, we did Faces of Jazz. And I was listening to some music as we were drawing together. And I found on Spotify there's a playlist called The Best Syrian Music. And another beautiful one that just has 2 songs, unfortunately, is the Ornina Syrian Orchestra. And you can also listen to Sabri Mudallal. There's some really wonderful stuff on Spotify if you use that. And if you're coming over to Zoom, you will see I'll spotlight my feed and you'll be able to see. Hi, Anya. You'll be able to see exactly what's happening in YouTube. So it'll be like the same thing, the same setup. Here, spotlight for everyone. Here's my thing over on Zoom. And Barbara is my support over there at the moment. And it's so great having you here. Hi, Chris, Birgit, Cyan, Astrid, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's always fun hanging out and drawing together. And let's start drawing. I have some really great reference. It's been so wonderful having the opportunity. I try and find a way, there are so many full-on terrible things that happen on a regular basis, and trying to find a way to do something constructive and to help somehow, and also like in a community sense, to do something together and be here together for each other. I think community is super important, and I love sketching with my friends. So I have in the face of the tragedy to appreciate what an incredible rich cultural history Syria has. And since music is the theme of the month with the 10-minute portrait sketch session, I have some really wonderful references that I've found. I don't know who these musicians are, but I thought it was a really beautiful image. And you may have to block out some of the hands if you have an issue with drawing hands. But I love the group. Something I've been thinking a lot recently is making music together as a group, and how it's such an incredible thing to do, and something I haven't done a lot of in a long time. But I just found this image really beautiful. So we'll just get right into it with our first 10-minute portrait. And if you are in the chat, if you're over on YouTube, you can also join via Zoom, and we can sit together and actually speak to each other, which will be nice. Or you can just not speak and just hang out and feel like you're sitting at a table with a group of friends. And I'd love to hear from you in the chat if you have any favorite Syrian musicians, or if you just want to tell us what you're drawing with, where you're joining from. It'll be wonderful to hear from you. I'm going to see if I can put this timer thing in here. but it gets in the way. So it seemed like a good idea to have a timer so everyone can see how much time we have, but it gets in the way. So I might move it. But here we go, 10 minutes, let's go. Hello, Zoom friends. Sorry about the hands, Anya. Yeah, it's quite a skill. Ignoring hands is a wonderful. Yeah, and it's good to have these filters, to if you can't deal with it, or choose to focus on what you want to draw, like this incredible face. I love frame drums. For a long time, I've really been into percussion, and that's been really great. Listening to. Oops, I'll just go offline on my phone so you can't read my notifications. Yeah, frame drums, tambourines, so many incredible instruments. For those of you who have not been along to these 10-minute portrait sessions before, it's not very instructional because it's just like we all hang out doing our own practice, just sketching. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But I'm going to be working with ink today, and this is a Stabilo fine liner, which I use to get some line work down, and then I will do some brush work, and I have a calligraphy pen, and I'm working on Hanamula Nostalgie paper. And I'm not going to draw these extra hands on the side here. One hand is enough for this for this sketch. Hello Shannon, Ashley. How do you pronounce Tan? I'm not sure. Let us know in Roman letters how you pronounce your name. Tanir Zeb. I'm not very good with your alphabet. Sorry. I've been trying to learn. There's a lot of languages that I would like to learn. It's been really, really interesting looking into Syrian music, listening to Syrian music, and just so learning a bit more about the region. There's the music is just really so powerful, and such a long tradition, and it's interesting if you joined us the last couple of days, and also I think it was day 2 maybe of the 10-minute portrait challenge. So far we've sketched 3 Sufi musicians, and there's also a lot within Syrian traditional music, a lot of Sufi music, and it's really incredible and powerful, and really wonderful to listen to, and it's really interesting to me that this topic this month has led towards sketching a lot of Sufi artists. All right, I've got like 6 minutes left. What are we doing? What am I doing? I'll try and figure that out. Hi, Ronnie. How dark is this? Still pretty inky from yesterday. By the way, every time I do one of these live streams, I give away a sketch. And if you'd like to win you can take a moment in the in-between times, in between sketches, or right now if you want to, and just tell me in the chat that you'd like to win, and you might win. And Lisa won last time. And it was so nice to see it hanging on your wall already. That's so great. And Elizabeth Teodorini, who won a month ago, if you're watching, let me know your address, because it just got returned to me yesterday. Went all the way to Canada and came back to Germany this week. So I'll have to send it out to you again. It said wrong address, but we can try again. So it's always interesting in this, within these time constraints, to decide what am I doing, what can I kind of choose to prioritize. I've figured out a workflow with ink that I have been enjoying a lot. Like I feel like I can really communicate something within 10 minutes with ink. I don't have to think about values. I mean, I only have to think about values, don't have to think about colors and but yeah, can keep an eye on the timer and be like, okay, how much time do I have? Am I going to have enough time to let something dry in the face so I can put some more contrast and line work, add a bit of definition in there? Do I have enough time to go really black? Because once you get really black, then the contrast is intense, and then you've got to do things to balance it out. And, but yeah, having done a lot of these now, I've got quite a stack of 10-minute portraits that I'm collecting, that I've been doing the past few months. And so yeah, I feel like I'm kind of finding my stride with it. I do a lot of timed portrait sketching. And I feel like I'm learning a lot by doing it, about my own kind of workflow and what I can do. How can I? What was that? Of doing all these sketches. Interestingly, my favorite part. So the question just was in Zoom, where you can come join if you find the way. My favorite part has been learning about all the people that we've been sketching. That has been amazing. So that's kind of separate to the kind of pushing myself creatively, but just learning about so many different people. That's been really awesome. And in terms of like the actual creation, I feel like I've really pushed and kind of understood more and more what I can do with ink in 10 minutes. And I wasn't really, my favorite, in December we did the first round of the 10-minute portrait challenge, and I did watercolor and natural ink and pencil, and some are just line work, some calligraphy pen. I did a bunch of different medium, and I realized, looking back through it, that my favorites were some of my ink pieces that I did. So having that kind of experience under my belt, I was like, oh, maybe then since those are the ones I enjoyed the most, when I look at the results, maybe I'll focus a bit more on ink this time around. So that's been interesting, just to clearly see, like, oh, I feel like this is a medium which in that time frame I can really do something kind of expressive with. So yeah, that's been interesting to learn. what have other people's favourite part been of the 10-minute portrait challenge if you've been sketching along, or if you've been to any of these 10-minute portrait live streams? All right, that was 10 minutes. Hello, Klaus. Hello, everyone. So, as I mentioned, if you'd like to win one of these sketches, this is sketch number 1. Just let me know in the chat. And once this is all done, I will let you know. And I mentioned in the beginning that there is a link in the description below to a grassroots organization who is providing relief in northern Syria at the moment for people who've suffered due to the earthquakes. So if you have, if you feel called to contribute, you can follow that link and check out their website. All right, we'll move on to the next reference of Sabah Fakhr. My apologies in advance for any false pronunciation of any names. And if anyone, thank you so much, Sayed. I'm glad you like my work. It's nice to be here and be able to share it. And I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't just sketch a lot. I practice a lot, and I do every Tuesday a Zoom session, and everyone's welcome to join. So if you have time, around this time, a little bit earlier on Tuesdays, we sketch via Zoom, and everyone's welcome to join. Barbara and Anya would like to win. That's great. Anyone else who's interested in winning, just let me know in the YouTube chat, and you may win. Okay, next 10-minute portrait. So if you would like more than 10 minutes, you can catch these moments in between the portraits where I'm talking and rambling a bit, and you can already start drawing, and then you have a bit more than 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. Starting now. What was that? What? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I wonder. Maybe I'll go straight to the calligraphy pen with this one. So this is a Pilot parallel pen for those interested in art supplies. A 3.8mm nib, which is so cool, so big. And I love the line variation. I like working with flat, broad tools. These are wonderful head shape. So good for drawing. So Gris wrote to me today. I already had a folder full of reference, and Gris said his Syrian brother made some suggestions. So this is one. And I realized I knew some Syrian musicians, artists, but I've gotten to know a lot more this week. Yeah, and that's something that I really appreciate about doing this, getting to know new, just learning. And I'm interested in learning things. And something very interesting, after drawing Amina Chisti and Ustad Dida Hussein the last couple of days, a friend of mine who just lives down the road, who mentioned last year that he has tabla, and but doesn't play them, so he's thinking of selling them. And after watching the Music of the Mystics documentary and doing these sketches, I was like, I wonder if he's still got tabla. Maybe I could try tabla. And now I have them sitting in this room, and they resonate with my voice. So as I stop talking, I hear this because the drums are singing. Drums. So it's a double drum, the tabla, and it's used in a lot of Indian and Pakistani music. And learning the tabla, if I understand correctly, you actually learn a language because there are so many different, what are they called? Bol, which is a different kind of schlag, different ways to tap the drum. So you have two drums and they have this resonance with each other, and they kind of, sometimes it's almost like they're singing, like they can be played in a very just an incredible way. So yeah, it's percussion, it's drums, but it's very different to something like a frame drum, or even to a drum kit. It's quite a special instrument, and to really get good at it, I think you have to like dedicate your life to it, which Amin Nachisti and Ustad Rida Hussain both have done, and they're both very good. Yeah, it just has such a special sound. And my friend Guido, he's said that he has played and plays many instruments. He builds hurdy-gurdies. And he said that he just realized that he could not dedicate enough of himself to learning. So he just, it was time for them to move on, find a new home. And right now they're singing to me over there on the floor. It's such an interesting sound. So they must be like in tune with my voice, which is interesting. Win-win chicken dinner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, all these people want to win. One of you may win. Someone's going to win. Yeah, so whoever wins can choose their favorite sketch from the ones that I do today, and it will be yours. If the postal service can get it to you. And I don't know if no one answered my question yet in the chat. What has been your favorite thing about these 10-minute portraits? But I understand you're all probably very busy sketching. Sketching and talking is one thing. Sketching and typing at the same time is... You need extra hands for that. But if you have a moment, I would love you to let me know in the chat what you have most enjoyed about the 10-minute portrait practice. Or maybe it's your first time here. Maybe you're sweating and wondering, what am I doing here? 10 minutes is not enough. You could let me know that too. And you can just take the 10 minutes as a starting point, and from the collection of starting points that we'll have after this, you could choose something that you feel like's working for you, and then maybe keep working on it. Or just leave everything as it is. Do whatever you want. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. hmm Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, that could totally be the build up to the 6-minute pose. So that was the observation in Zoom, and everyone's welcome to come join the conversation over in Zoom. The 10 minutes here feels like not as long as 6 minutes on a Tuesday, which is super interesting because we build up to 6 minutes. We do 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minute, 4 minute, then 6 minute. And so once we reach 6 minutes, it feels like half an hour. And and jumping straight into 10. No, no. Am I exaggerating just a little bit? Just a tiny little bit. Um, yeah, but yeah, we build up to it, to that 6 minutes, and like you, after an hour of even quicker sketches, it's like it makes the 6 minutes feel longer, or you're warmed up and primed for it. And it's interesting because I made the claim, I think last time, and sometimes in these longer 10-minute sessions, that I feel like my last portrait is my best one. And last time with Eric Dolphy, I think that was like my first sketch it was one of my favorites for sure. Like that was interesting. But maybe that's also because I've been doing daily 10-minute portraits and kind of in the groove of practicing. Thank you for sharing that observation, Anya. Yeah? You say you only took 20 and you were proud? Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like when I did a lot of ink portraits. I've worked a lot with ink for the past 6 years. And there was a phase where each one of my ink portraits took like 4 hours. And that has been interesting about pushing it down to this time constraint, to be like, okay, what order can I do things in? And to get a feel for the material and know how fast things are drying and how I can kind of work around with it. That's our 10 minutes for Sabah Fakhr. And next we have Mayada el Hennawy. If anyone, I don't know if in text or maybe someone in Zoom can give me some pronunciation tips. If not, then you'll just have to accept my humble apologies. And Ronnie would love to win. What was that? Can I spell it? Yes. Mayada. Mayada. Oh, the one before, Sabah, is Sabah. So this one here, I will add all of the names to the description in YouTube after this. I wasn't organized enough to get it done beforehand, but after I will. So Sabah, and the surname is Fakhri, Fakhri. Hello Zoom friends, nice having so many people hanging out in Zoom. All right, next portrait. Mayada el Hennawy, which I will spell out after I do the drawing. And if someone in between wants to tell me how to give me some phonetic tips, then go for it. All right, 10 minutes. It's been really interesting listening to a mix, or just the mix in general. At least with the music that I've been listening to, there is sometimes an interesting blend of like pop and traditional flair to the music, which is super interesting. And particularly interesting in the singing, I think there's a lot of incredible uh, intonation, and what people can do with their voices is like so amazing. Also in the Qawwali music, that of a couple of the musicians that I mentioned earlier, the Pakistani music, it's really so amazing what they do with their voices. I realize this is potentially challenging with the open mouth and stuff, but just the way I think about things, or try not to think about things, is I'm just always looking at the way different shapes interact with each other. So don't think of the perspective, the challenging perspective and the open mouth. Just be like, how does that shape line up next to that shape, and how does that interact with that shape? And that's probably my biggest tip for the way that I try and figure out how to draw things. Maybe you have your own process, and that's cool, but that's the short explanation for how I draw things. Looking at shapes. And don't try and draw individual teeth unless you're really something you're passionate about. Just draw a big shape. And working within a time constraint, I think, is also helpful for learning that kind of stuff, like how to learn a shorthand, or it's like, okay, I don't have a lot of time to do this. For me, I feel a big part of it's like it alleviates the pressure of thinking it has to look any good if it doesn't take very long. And the interesting thing that happens of like that kind of release of expectations and pressure is then you practice and kind of just relax into it. Potentially. I know it's not always relaxing for everyone. If you like, can let go of the expectation of it's supposed to look like a person or any good, and just do a bunch of practice that as you relax into it, potentially, it could start looking, like a person. Your cat wants to eat your pens. That's helpful. So does your cat only... Is it like anything you ever try to do, that when the cat realizes your attention is elsewhere, that it gets involved, or is it only when you're drawing? Okay. So your cat has a discerning taste in pens. Does anyone else? So Eliza's cat's favourite pen is the Tombow pen. Does anyone else's cats have a favourite pen? Ah, the Grinzel. Okay, cool. Hmm. Your cat likes glue. There's something in the glue. What kind of glue is it that your cat likes? Yeah? Right. I wonder what it's made of. I know that some glues traditionally were made with skins. Hide glue. Ugh. Yeah, that's how it is. Um, that just makes me wonder if it's still made like that with wool sticks. Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess some. Yeah. Some kids probably like eating it too. Thanks so much for your birds, Reza. Yeah, it's nice because there's today or the past week there've been a lot of migratory birds flying over, and then I open up your print and these birds flying into our house. It's nice. So Shannon's in the chat, I believe. Um, Reza did a really cool. Or is Shannon also in Zoom? Okay. Um, yeah, Reza did a really cool painting from a photo that Shannon took of some birds. And could you now become a bird painter? Yeah, I'm not a full-time bird painter. Portraits are still pretty cool. All right. I saw some cats sitting in a window in a house today. Two cats watching birds because it's getting a bit warmer, and so the birds are about. Yeah. Ah, that was dark. All right. Feeling a bit of pressure with this one. We've got less than 2 minutes to add something which is going to make this work, hopefully. Must be hard for house cats watching birds. Or maybe it's not hard. Maybe they've... Because I think there are some cats around here that never go outside. And what's it like for a house? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sure. It probably wouldn't be healthy for the cats to go outside. Um, yeah, so what is it like for those cats who've never been outside? Like, what are they thinking as they watch birds? Like, hmm birds are fascinating. Their food. Yeah, but if they don't know, if they've never eaten a bird, like, how do they know? So they're looking out the window, thinking, "Look at all that food flying around." All right. That, yeah, the instinct to chase a small moving thing. Yeah. All right, that was 10 minutes. I feel like this one was a bit more challenging than the others. Yeah, I'm not the only one. No, no. Yeah, there are no hands, but it's still harder. All right, let's just stop. Let's say that's finished. Sultan, hi. You know this woman. Um, yeah, I'm not sure if my pronunciation is correct, but Mayada el Hennawy. Um, and I said I would spell it out for you once we finish. So Mayada Hennawy. Once this is all finished, I will add the names of everyone that we've sketched to the description. So if you just want to come back, and I will timestamp all of each individual sketch as well. So if you want to come back and focus on revisit one or jump around to particular portraits, then that's something I will do in the coming days. I will edit the description of the YouTube video. Sayan says the time restriction really boosts up the true expressions, even if sometimes the portrait doesn't match the original. Yeah. Pardon me. Okay. So this next portrait that we have, this is Tarek Ghriri, guitarist. Incredible. So the band is called DR, and I believe he resides in Canada. And we have our next portrait will be of his bandmate, Nour Kdn. And when I found this, I just thought it was such an awesome photo, like with that white reflection in the glasses. So let's draw. Next pose, 10 minutes. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, he plays a fretless guitar, which is amazing, and it's so interesting because the oud, we're going to be doing a reference of someone playing oud, is that fretless sound of this stringed instrument is so awesome. So let's just start drawing. 10 minutes. All right. I'll get my big calligraphy pen again. How's everyone doing? And as I mentioned earlier, if you'd like to win one of these sketches, then let me know in the chat. Just say, I want to win, and maybe you will. And make sure that we are in touch on Instagram, or you can email me. But Instagram messaging is pretty easy, for me at least. If not, dylan.illustration@gmail.com is my email address. So that I'll be able to get in touch with whoever wins. And I'll send one of these sketches, one of the originals, to you, wherever you are. I cannot hear your dog snoring. Yeah. A little something I just kind of thought of drawing the glasses. If you've got like this clear angle here, you can, it's like a skewed perspective, but if you kind of try and get the parallel angle on the bottom frame and just continue from here to here, then maybe it will work out. Maybe. And even if it doesn't, just keep drawing, it's okay. Oh, the arm of the glasses. Yeah, that it's like, yeah, it does look quite horizontal. and that angle you can kind of follow with the mouth as well, like the that parallel line that might help you get like the angle of the mouth in the right place as well. So this band is on Instagram and Facebook, but I couldn't find them on Spotify. They have a few YouTube videos, DR. And when I post and share it on Instagram, I'll tag them as well. So if you want to keep an eye out for my post that I'll do after this, I will tag the ones who I can tag. All right, I wanted to get like the head of the guitar. I think it's really nice. Such a cool photo. The first drum rhythm I ever learnt with a darbuka, or also on the djembe. I used to every Friday in Adelaide, before I left Australia, I would meet up and dance and play with fire with friends. It was awesome. And one of my friends, Tiki, hello Tiki, if you ever watch this, taught me one of the first ever drum rhythms I know. And Tiki's mum was born in Syria. I don't know if that's where the rhythm came from, but it's really, really cool. Oh, I found a really amazing website as I was looking this up, and I put the link in the description, which is a music map of Syria. And when you have time, you can click on the link that's in the description, and it has the map of Syria and different cities, and you can click on the different cities and regions, and there is music. There'll be like a bunch of songs from that place, and it's really cool. And I wonder, I've just been listening to the music. I haven't read up much on the project of this music map, but it was such a cool idea just to see like where these different songs are from different regions. All right, 3.5 minutes left. What was that? It's in the description. Yeah, it's in the description of the YouTube video. The Syria music map or something. But yeah, if you check out the YouTube description, it's in there. It's really cool. It could be a cousin of me. Shannon sent me a screenshot. She was looking something up on YouTube, and there was a face. It was like black and white, and it was almost me. It wasn't me, but it looked so much like me, just in terms of the facial hair, really, because it was like reduced to just the facial hair. And it was like, I had to look at it, I was like, is that me? That's interesting. I'm wondering, can I get it down so that the lenses of the glasses are as bright as they look in the photo? Then everything else needs to be darker to get it, even if it's just a little bit, just to try and push that contrast. And what are you painting with? I hope nothing poisonous. If you're putting your brush in your tea. Mm-hmm. So you have to really make an effort to put the brush into the tea. 30 seconds left. Don't know. All right, that's 10 minutes. I often think, oh, I can finish it up some other time, but that sometimes I do, but I don't know, the past month that has rarely been the case. I've rarely had like the extra time to go back and finish things up. But if you do have the time, good for you. you can spend more time on any of these if you like. All right, I'll stop now, I think. So that was Tarek, Tarek, Ghriri, Ghriri. And on Instagram, he's Tarek Ghriri Guitarist, with dots in between the words. Drawing for positive mental health outlook. Yeah, that sounds good. the Sara sessions, Drawing with Dylan. Oh, by the way, if you are sharing on social media, you can use these hashtags here, Drawing with Dylan and 10-minute portrait, and you can tag me. A couple of Ashley's favourite things from these sessions have been listening to me. Oh, that's nice. And the community. Yeah, that's so good drawing together. And sharing with a similar purpose, refining process of drawing and getting the brain out of the way. Yeah, that's good with the time frame that you can get the brain out of the way. It's good. So here, also from the Diyar band, Nour Kdn, KDN. This is a super nice photo. So cool. Playing the Rik, I think, R-I-K, the tambourine. And I love this photo so much. So let's do another 10-minute portrait. How's everyone doing? My Zoom friends who can answer with words. How you doing? Das geht. Oh, even in suffering, we are together. Yeah. Okay. If it's a super hard challenge, one tip which I've seen people do on Tuesdays so well is to reduce what you're drawing Don't try to draw everything, because that's what we have to do anyway to simplify things. Because everything we see is quite complex. Here I'm seeing these light shapes. If I squint at the reference image, you could just do the face. I'm thinking some of you may want to leave out the hands, but I just loved the entire composition of this. So lovely. So dark. How will we do this? Challenge accepted. Yeah. So I'm thinking, can kind of figure out where the light shapes are, and then like flood the rest with ink. So this will just be reduced to like those light shapes. This is the way I'm thinking about it anyway. And always looking at an image in terms of like, how can I simplify this? So obviously, if you're going to brave the hands, like just the negative shapes, and try to reduce it as much as possible. And a great thing I once heard and read from Richard Schmidt, I think, was that he's a plein air painter who passed away a couple of years ago. And he said at any point, a painting needs to be able to be finished. So it's like whether you've got 5, 10 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, to work it up in a way that at any point you could kind of stop. Don't leave things to finish, just kind of, yeah. I guess if you have an approach of like, okay, I'm just gonna do this part of it, or I'm gonna do it this way, and already think somehow, how can I simplify this in my process with the available time? I don't know if that's helpful, but maybe for somebody it will be. And I given you some extra time as I'm sitting here talking instead of drawing. So I'll put the timer on now, 10 minutes. Let's do it. Good. Oh, so we just heard from Barbara in Zoom that the brain learns best with little stress. Maybe it's like ice bathing, but for your drawing skills. Like exposing yourself to some stress to learn and grow. So people have often told me with the drawing practice that I offer that I get people out of their comfort zone, and that must help to grow and learn, I hope. Hope it's not too stressful. What was that? Mittleren Erregungsniveau. Cool. Ich biete eine mittleren Erregungsniveau an. So something I often love in photography and reference images is really strong contrast, and I think it lends itself so well to ink. But that could be, I think, any medium really. If you have really clear forms to draw, it's such a gift. And this is such a beautiful photo. Oh, this little highlight, like under the shadow of the nose. It's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. yeah, try and preserve that highlight if you can. It's just dark, everything dark. Where's my cute little brush? Oh, it's still a bit pink. Last time I used this brush was when I was working on Mafalda's portrait on Thursday in our Drawn Together show. So it is still a bit pink. And that was really interesting, like talking about this time constraint thing. Sometimes I really feel like when I have 6 minutes or 10 minutes for a portrait, that I feel like things are more complete than if I have an hour and a half or 2 hours. The one of my father was also much bigger than I'm doing these. But it's so interesting how this time constraint, or just time in general, is such a formless thing that can feel really short or really long. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no compromise. And then when I'm like, oh, I've got an hour, and the whole experience of making something feels so different. And then at the end of the hour I can feel like, oh, this is... Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that implied detail with a quick sketch, that your brain, the viewer, is filling in the blanks. And yeah, there's often something so alive about a quick sketch. If anyone's wondering why I'm talking to myself, it's because I have friends hanging out with me on Zoom. And if you feel like joining us, you can navigate your way through some of the words in the writing below this stream, and you may end up on a website which will take you somewhere, and then you'll be magically transported to sitting around the Zoom table with us. And if you are a troll, trying to be offensive, you will be kicked out because that's what's happened in the past. You'll be kicked into the woods. Yeah, because a few live streams ago we had the process of getting in was a little bit easier, and we had some gate crashes at the party. But most of the people who join are wonderful and not trolls, and it's lovely having you with us. Ashley, am I a hands master? I have drawn a whole lot of hands, and Tuesdays, the Tuesday Zoom sketching has helped a lot. And before that, when I still had time to binge watch Game of Thrones, I would often just like pause and draw hands or pause and draw faces, and now I do it with people that I hang out with rather than binge watching things, apart from when I was watching Sandman last year. You're already happy. You could stop. You can take a minute to relax. Or keep going for a minute. Wow, yeah. Cherish that feeling. Almost a minute left and already happy. Yeah, nice. I'd be interested to know who drew the hands and who just focus on the face. Yeah, that's good. I used to love Jim Carrey. I don't know. I appreciate him, but I was like obsessive when I was at school. It was just so, I don't know, something so crazy. Yeah, he does have a great face. He has so many great faces. All right. So how did that go with this super dark reference? So this is Nour, Nour Kdn. And as I mentioned earlier, I will add people's, if I have them, I will add their Instagram account names to the description after this, and you'll be able to check it out, tag them. So this is the oud, and it is an incredible sounding instrument, and so cool. And I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but Waed Bouhassou is the musician who we will be drawing, and she also has really incredible music on Spotify that you can check out. Thank you, Ashley, for loving my choices. Birgit would love to win. Anyone who would love to win one of these sketches, tell me in the chat, and you may win one of these sketches. After I've finished the live stream, I'll go over to random.org and randomly choose someone to win. That sounds interesting. Dungeon. Okay, welcome Dungeon to Zoom. Let's draw. So a lot of the musicians that I have found that we're drawing today no longer live in Syria, and Syria has undergone a lot of hardship the past, is it 11 years? Maybe longer. Too long. And many of these musicians that I found, the last two live in Canada, and I think Waed here lives in France perhaps, and there are some that I found living in Germany, and a lot of classically trained musicians, and many of them learnt in Damascus, and they now travel with their music And yeah, I have a link in the description to fundraising for a group, an organization which was founded in 2013 by young Syrian refugees in Lebanon, and they are providing support in northern Syria at the moment. So if you are able to and would like to, then follow the link and you can contribute to their fundraiser. Whose books? Rafiq Shami. Cool. Okay. Mm-hmm. Nice. I would have loved to have had more of the oud in this crop of the reference, but I felt it was a bit much. Pretty complex, and the portrait would have been quite small in comparison. But it's such a beautiful instrument. I also had one image of an instrument builder who was in his workshop building these instruments. It's OUD if you want to look it up. Such an amazing sound. Yeah, incredible hair. Yeah. You don't have to draw each of the curls. Yeah, it's often challenging. It's like to figure out how when there's so much detail. It's our ongoing challenge. If we're sketching, to figure out how to best, what choices will best kind of represent what we're trying to communicate. Hello, sister. My sister's just entered the chat. Good morning. Hello, Australia. My sister, who in 5 weeks will be in Germany, visiting us for the first time in 8 years. So that's a reason to celebrate. It's going to be fun. Oh, definitely. There's a really cool castle close to where we live, and there are a lot of castles around here, but it's one of my favorites called Burg-Ruine Harnstein, and we went there a couple of weeks ago, but it's closed because it's winter. But it's so nice, like the surrounding countryside, and I like the fact that it's half in ruins. A lot of the maintained and renovated castles don't have that kind of grungy, cold, medieval flair to them. And this one does. It's and it has this really cool tower that you can climb and look over the valley below, and you can see on the other side of the valley in the distance there's another castle, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, we're going to go to Neuschwanstein. That was Claire's request. So if anyone has... no, that was a different one, Claire. I took you to a different castle. I don't... Unless we went to that one as well. But the one I took you was like at the edge of the Harz. And this one is really close to where we live. It's interesting because it's a tiny village there. And it's in Thüringen. And the other castle on the other side of the valley is in Hessen. And it was... You've been there? Cool. Oh, wow. Ah. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, it is right on the border. And yeah. 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 Oh, cool. So when was that you were there? Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, once when I was there, it's a tiny village, like at the foot of the castle. I don't know. I think there's less than 10 houses there, but there's also a church. And then further down the hill, there's a slightly bigger village. Um, but I talked to an elderly woman who lived there, who's always lived there, and so now it's like it's it's a tourism place. Like people go there because they want to see the castle, and for the longest time, it was just like closed off. Um, so yeah. Ah, like a watchtower. Yeah. It's yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's a watchtower. It's a perfect watchtower. It's You can see so far from there. Yeah. Oh, so you did get to go there at a later date. Cool. In Duderstadt. Cool. All right, that's our 10 minutes. In Duderstadt, which is nearby, there's a really interesting Grenzmuseum, the Border Museum. Um, and for me, it was fascinating to think that, like in the not too distant past, it was like a different country. I live really close to the former border right now. Like on the other side of the forest where I live is Thüringen. All right. 10 minutes plus. Oh, maybe actually I might be able to put the Maksaras. Cool. I wonder, maybe I can actually grab the name that I've got typed in here. and do like a copy paste and just put it straight into the chat for you. Is that going to work? Oh no, that's too much. Yeah. Okay, here comes the name into the chat. Waed Bouhassou. This is Omar Souleyman, and he has an incredible song, which is, well, a lot of incredible songs, but last week we drew Björk, and they have a song together, which is really cool. And he's toured quite a lot in Europe, and you can listen to his stuff on Spotify, as I have been, and it has this, like, it's so vibrant. It has this wild kind of energy to it. Super cool. Let's draw 10 minutes. I took Claire to a few castles. Took you to a few castles when you were here. We were on a castle pilgrimage. Yeah, so maybe I did take you there. I should have, because it's my favorite castle. So it's quite possible that you've been there, and we'll go there again, Claire. But I distinctly remember this other castle where I took you with one of my clients, and didn't we played Magic the Gathering at these castle ruins with this kid that I was working with. The song with Björk is called Crystallize, and it's so cool. Like the fusion. I mentioned as we were drawing Björk that she's about some of the collaborations that she's done with other artists. Actually with PJ Harvey, because I think, did Björk and PJ Harvey do something together? Yeah. So Claire, the McSaras, that's Claire and Nina. Claire and Nina are coming to visit us. Claire, we kind of all have Claire to thank for us being here together right now, because Claire got me onto YouTube. And in 2020, I did a bunch of live streams with Sketchy, and they were super fun. I was actually doing them every week, and then I didn't do any for a while, and now I'm doing a lot of my own live streams, which is cool. And Claire was like, you should be doing stuff on YouTube, and now I am, so thank you, Claire. Maybe we can do a YouTube together when Claire, a live stream together when Claire is here, and like, that could be fun. Claire was also one of our guests on Drawn Together. And for those who don't know, almost every Thursday, or it has been the past couple months, we, Shannon and myself, Shannon Hagen, Parrots Carrots on Instagram, have a guest, and we have a conversation with them and do a longer portrait. So the drawing of Mafalda, which I mentioned earlier, was last Thursday's. And that's an opportunity to spend a bit longer working on a pose, or it would also be possible just to listen to us, because the idea is that we just hang out and have an interesting conversation, and at the same time we do some drawing. So how is this reference compared to the one with the rik, the tambourine? It's like inverted light and dark Verhältnisse. So just this, we have a few really clear dark shapes and a lot of it's really light. Yeah, the other one's really just, yeah. Yeah, something interesting about concealing so much. Yeah, seems really cool. I feel like it's kind of easier when so much is concealed in shadow. Like the choices that you make are kind of already reduced. Okay, Sissy would love to win that was the last one, right? Our oud player. Maybe you will. So far the odds on my giveaways here on Instagram have been pretty good. Although last live stream, the Faces of Jazz, which was so much fun, and a lot of people joined. That was, I think we had 27 people enter the giveaway, which is still pretty good odds, I reckon. Want some really light. That's darker than I wanted. Light grey mid-tones in here. So just recently I figured out if I use the brush pen, which is full of water, then I can more reliably get a lighter tone. All right, 10 minutes. Good night. Thanks for joining us. Sweet dreams. All right, how many have we done? 7. So I've got 3 references left. Here we have Yara Abu Fakhr from the Ornina Syrian Orchestra, which sounds amazing. They have as well as the instruments that we would normally associate with orchestra, classical instruments. They have all of the awesome Syrian instruments as well. So they have oud and ney and the percussion. Like it's a wonderful mix. Sounds so cool. Definitely check it out. And I believe that Yara lives in Germany and is performing somewhere tonight. I saw on Instagram. Oh. All right. Went a bit heavy with the ink down there. There are things happening of their own accord, but time to move on. Oh, and I did not yet put Omar's name in the chat. I'll do that now. Diogo would like to win also. Yes, anyone who would like to win, who has not yet said that you would like to win, now is a good time to say that you would like to win, and you might win. Let's draw. Next 10-minute portrait. Okay, thank you for being here. Bye-bye. I love the composition on this with the bows and the violins. There's also way too much detail for a 10-minute portrait, but we're just, working with these time constraints and just figure out what we're going to do as we go along. But just this reference is so cool. So sometimes I grab this fine liner as opposed to the calligraphy pen because it doesn't react so much when I brush over it. So there's a lot of midtones in this. Um, Not so much highlight, so I want to just looking at it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to brush into this. So if I use the calligraphy pen, which I love, it's going to bleed all over the place and it's just going to be uncontrollable. So that's kind of how I make the decision. If I know I'm going to if I want to brush on top of the line work, then I will not start with the calligraphy pen. Yeah, so the Ornina Syrian Orchestra has only 2 tracks on Spotify, but they're amazing. And on their Instagram page, that's where I found this reference. So thank you to all of the photographers who took all of the amazing reference photos that we're working from. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Has anyone who feels like typing, who's also doing the daily 10-minute portraits, or if you're on Zoom, you can just speak up. Does anyone have a favorite portrait so far of the ones that we've done? So this is day 18. Bob Dylan, yeah, that was cool. That was Sunday, right? Last week. That was such a cool reference photo. Awesome. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because so many of her PJ Harvey's photos, it's just such like really bold, clear structure in her face, and then um, it was interesting that I also felt like my likeness was a bit off, so it wasn't as so easy to draw. But I also noticed that because some of the other references which I didn't choose are super strongly lit, where so a lot of that really clear facial structure that she has is really illuminated and in shadow in a really expressive way, and the one that we had was not like that. It was like the contrast of the hair. That hair shape was really dark, but the rest was quite light. And I think that's what made it a bit like tricky to get the likeness. Because I've often found that when if you have something like in this state, like this is now, where there's very minimal detail, once you start to put in the shadows, if something is illuminated in such a way that you have really clear shadows, it'll communicate the facial structure, which actually starts making it look like that person. And so sometimes you can rely upon the shadows to make it look more like the person who you're trying to draw. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Some new person that we get to create. So there's a lot of really interesting subtle things with the shadows in the face, and like if you can grab those, kind of preserve the highlights and put the shadows in the right place, it will have like a clearer sense of how this person looks, I guess. And there's so much wonderful detail in the shadow in here. It's really nice. It's cool, the highlight on this top eyelid is much brighter than the white of the eye. It's interesting to notice things like that. Diogo Balaka Sissoko, yeah, that was really cool. I was also thinking that was a really nice reference to work from. The kora player. Yeah, I really liked his as well. There is a lot going on in this reference. Yeah. Is it how do you like having the timer on the screen? Is it good, or would you rather not know? Yeah, cool. Cool. It's a bit more awkward for me to draw, but it's I like if it enhances your experience. I used to think it was kind of funny in the past how I was like, I'm the only one who knows how much time we've got. And then sometimes I'd be like, that's it. And people would be like, no. And this way you already know it's about to end. Oops. And then you can, oh, I just bent my nib. Oh, that sucks. And this way you can kind of guess whether I'm going to allow more time, or if it's going to be finished. Ah, just bent the nib. That might be it with that pen tonight. Oh, that sucks. I just tried to put the lid on and like smushed it into my hand. Oh, it still works. I was thinking maybe I would also brush in a bit to this, but maybe just a little bit. Bam. All right. Next one. Oh, Ronnie, you just got a Pilot parallel pen. I just bent mine. um, Here we have our next reference. You may notice there's something strange going on with this. It's partly blurry, partly in focus. The in focus one had a crop where I wanted more of the hair, and I had a blurry version, and I just put them all together. So this is Lena Chamamyan, who a few of the musicians that I look at were Armenian Syrian musicians. And there's a lot of wonderful Kurdish Syrian musicians, and it's just interesting thinking about that whole region of the world as like such a culturally diverse and historically significant place, and how that is also reflected in the musical traditions there. This is our second to last. What's the time? Sometimes it feels like it goes so fast. Ashley, Dylan, anyone interested in answering this question? How important is getting a likeness? Is that the purpose? No, I don't think it is the purpose unless you have a commission where someone would like a portrait that looks like them. It's like, if you get it, it can be like a little bit of... I definitely have the desire to be able to get a likeness in a pretty loose way. And that's what I've kind of been working towards. And I think the way that I train my observation and the way that I draw, the end goal is to get close to a likeness. But I also like the element of quirkiness and wrongness, like the element of error that you bring into it, because often that makes it more kind of it makes it more than it would be if it was a photorealistic image, that there's some kind of so there's something to it. So I think that being off on the likeness can often be really nice. And I've quoted a few times, Vin Ganapati had a quote on his Instagram bio that said, lost the likeness but like the lostness. And I think that was such a cool quote. But everyone else, feel free to chime in on the chat what you think of that, what you think about getting a likeness. Is it a personal aspiration for you to get a likeness? I used to get really hung up on it, to the extent that I would like just spend so long and never finish, and erase and redraw and re-erase and redraw, and it felt to me quite a constricted and stuck process, to be really hung up on it. And I had heard people say, don't worry about the likeness, don't be a slave to the likeness, and there was definitely a phase where I was like, but I want it to look like that person. And it definitely is. Like if you're doing a commission of someone and they're expecting it or hoping for it to look like them, or of the person that they have shared the reference with, then if that's the clear expectation and intention that you're communicating, I'd say then it's important to get a likeness. But maybe you also do a commission where people are like, just do your thing, and they just want you to do your thing. And then if your thing is not getting a likeness, then like just the creative expression of doing a portrait, then then that's totally valid. And I found that just a lot of practice, Like I would work on pieces where I wanted it, or it's a commission, I wanted it to look exactly like that person. And the process for me was not as free. I In the past I did a lot of portraits with a grid just to make sure things work out. And I kind of, after I remember one particular time where I redid a portrait 4 times, because each time I was like, I felt like each one was of its own accord was an individual portrait. Like it was interesting, but they were never close enough to the likeness, and I just restarted every time. And I felt like each one was interesting, but they just weren't kind of meeting my own expectation. And then I kind of made the decision: how many times do I want to redraw this? How much time do I want to spend on this? Is it and then I decided to use a grid for it, to help me kind of get it done after having like 4 pretty I think each time I spent like 4 hours on it, and each time I was disappointed. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a grid just to help me get the drawing down, and then when I get to the inking, like the painterly part of it, that's where that kind of expression comes into it. And for that particular piece, that was like important for me at that time. And there are definitely other things where it's just like just practice and the looseness and the life of just quickly getting something down is really enjoyable. The process is enjoyable, and often the result, then there'll be something really interesting about it. And that's the thing, like if I spent 4 hours on a portrait, then sometimes I'd be like, I don't like this more than a portrait sketch that I did in 6 minutes. Like, what's the balance? I'd say it's totally dependent on the situation, what's the intent and purpose of what you're doing. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, so if the day is full of time limits, then it's nice to spend more time, to not have a time limit. That's a nice way to look at it. So here, this is mostly water. I was just gonna use the calligraphy pen, then I realized, oh, hang on, if I want to get these really light tones here, then I should, before I put pen down, I should use my brush. This this is Lena Chamamyan. When we're finished, I'll put her name in the chat. something I often find interesting as I'm researching things is it's something I'm aware of, just how little I know. And when you like looking up some of these musicians, be like, oh wow, they're huge, and you know, and I don't even know who this is. Um, um, Guru, you're asking about the pentel pen, the parallel pen. Um, uh, I'm using a mix of water, and I've got this ink over here, which is Pelikan Brilliant Black ink, and that is the same ink. The Brilliant Black ink is this ink that I have in the parallel pen as well. Um, so yeah, and apart from this Stabilo fine liner that I did the initial line drawing with, it's all this Pelikan Brilliant Black ink. And with this Pentel parallel pen is like the highest concentration of ink, so the darkest darks, and the most definition I get will be with this pen. And sometimes I really enjoy doing an entire portrait just with this pen. Just the line variation is, I love it so much. It's so cool. But with these ones, I feel like the ink wash is using the brush is quite a fast and efficient way to fill in a lot of value, whether it's really dark or mid-tone, and then having that contrasted with just like a limited area where there's a much higher contrast with this, I think is an interesting mix. And then if the ink is still wet like here, you can just, got this brush pen here. Oh, is that what you were asking about actually? This is the Pentel brush pen. And the other one is the Pilot parallel pen. This is just water. Yeah. That was your question. Is it just water? It is, yeah. And so I'm just using the water and the ink that's like on the page. Okay, so moving on to our last reference, and I said I'd put Lena's name in the chat. There we go, Lena Chamamyan. Super cool photo. All right, and the final photo that I have for our session today is of Sabri Mudallal, and I love this photo. I'm going to crop it so that we don't have the hand in there. But this is just such a beautiful, expressive moment captured in this photo. So nice. So this is the one that we'll be ending with, and I love it. And you can listen to Sabri Mudallal on Spotify. I'll just put it on right now. So as I'm finishing up, can be listening to him as I'm drawing. And this will be our last 10-minute portrait for today. Here we go. And once I've finished this, I will look back upon all of the sketches that I've done today. Haha! This is the last page in this sketchbook. But I had another one just in case this happened. So at the end of these sessions, there's always a little time to look back on everything that's been sketched and kind of consider what did I like about what happened here or what was challenging. And it's a nice little moment to wrap up and chat if you have any questions. All right, 10 minutes. How's everyone going in Zoom? A lot of people have gone to bed. Peoply. Yeah, early on there was like, I looked up and I was like, whoa, a lot of people there. It's nice. So anyone who would like to practice quick portrait sketching, every Tuesday I host a Zoom session where we draw each other and we chat and sketch between 30-second and 6-minute portraits. That's 2 hours every Tuesday, and everyone's welcome. And you don't have to get drawn if you don't want to. If that sounds intimidating, you can also just join with your camera off, watch and listen to what people have to say. That's really a wonderful way to practice. This was the reference I was most excited about drawing. It's such a wonderful expression. Now I've really been enjoying the musical theme this month, and I have since we sketched the shakuhachi player, I've been playing the shakuhachi a little bit daily. And last night, as I was putting Aiken to bed, I just sat in the dark and was playing the flute with him. And there's just something so wonderful about listening to and making music. And when I growing up, I remember my dad attempted to learn saxophone for a while, but no one in our house really played any instruments. And I tried to learn some instruments in school and just felt like it didn't work out, and I was not destined to do so. But later on, upon reflection, I think it was just perhaps the dynamic between me and my music teachers that didn't work out. But for a very long time, I was just convinced of the fact that I couldn't make music. And then I hitchhiked with a flute builder and ended up with a flute from him, and it was such a wonderful, intuitive instrument, the overtone flute that has no holes, and you just play with the pressure of your breath, and it's a very, very direct and intuitive experience of playing with sound, and that kind of opened up my attitude towards instruments, and I stopped being as afraid of them. And that's something that I would like to in some way be able to impart to my children as well, not to be afraid of touching instruments, because I definitely was. And this month, listening to so much incredible music and kind of diving into all these different musical traditions and seeing or just experiencing it at one level, just listening to music, and there's like this direct physical experience that you have when you listen to music. And depending on what kind of mind state you're in yourself, what you can kind of pick up on, if it's like it's background music or if it's something that you really got to focus on, and there's just something so wonderful and like music can just transport us and something I've mentioned a few times in some of the live streams, that I feel like there's a really interesting kind of parallel to the experience of drawing. Just being present with the creative act of making something. I think this shadow shape is really interesting, like in the cheek and the mouth, and it's like it's almost wrapping all the way around here, and it's kind of indistinct, like all the things that I know must be happening in there, they're all lost within that shadow. And it's interesting just kind of simplifying it into this one abstract form, and that's like enough. It's a really interesting shape. I was talking about it with a friend today when he brought over the tabla, Guido, that making music. So I didn't really start making music until I was like 25. And I'm definitely not like at a professional level, but it's just such an enjoyable thing to do, even if it's just like making a single long note. It's like there's something really enjoyable about the experiencing sound like physically, and yeah, making music has definitely taken a backseat to drawing in the past years. I sing daily, sing my kids to sleep. No, not in a choir. I sang in the school choir in primary school when I was little, but no, it's been a while. Do you? Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, singing collectively, like, so I sing every day, but I'm trying to get my kids to go to sleep. So it's like, shh. It's just me singing. Shh. But yeah, the singing collectively and creating music collectively is such a special experience. It's like being part of something greater than what you're able to do on your own is pretty special. Yeah, 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 and also I read or heard something recently that was like, if you're singing, you can't be afraid, and I thought that was really interesting. And our youngest child, Holly, often in bed, um, it's like everything's getting quiet, it's time to sleep, almost drifting off to sleep, and then she'll be like, "I'm scared," and I wonder, is she scared, or is she just as scared of being asleep because she doesn't want the day to end? But but after reading that, I was like, if you sing, you won't be scared, and then we'll like sing something together, and um, yeah, it's such a special thing. So that was it. That was the last 10-minute portrait. The timer just went off. Still drawing. Um, oh shit. um, yeah, a little bit of extra time here. I'm not done with this yet. This is such a nice reference image, and I'm listening to him sing as I'm drawing him. It's special. Um, yeah. So that was our 10-minute portrait session for today. Thank you everyone who's here, who's been drawing along. Yeah, it's nice hanging out with you all. If you are interested in winning one of these and you have not yet said so in the chat, now is the time to do so. Every time I do one of these live streams, I give away one of the originals, and it could be you. You pick a favorite. Yeah, just put it in the chat and say, I want to win, or I'm interested. Yeah, and then I'll go through the list, and the way I work this out is I put it into a spreadsheet, and I've got numbers for how many people are in, put everyone's name in and a number, and then on random.org I put in the numerical constraints, and then the website picks who wins randomly. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining this session. And I mentioned a couple of times, there is a link in the description below to a fundraiser for supporting people in northern Syria in the wake of the earthquakes last week. And I think it's super important work that people are doing there. And I've been wondering, wouldn't it be cool if there were international funds? So much gets spent on defense, on war, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool if it was just like billions of dollars lying around, just in case, people somewhere need some help with something, and there's enough going on in the world just with like natural disasters and hunger and all sorts of things. It'd be so cool to just always be able to jump in and help people when they need it. And there are people doing amazing work, and they need support. And if you are able and feel like it, there is a link in the description below to a fundraising website where people are helping out in northern Syria at the moment. And not just at the moment, it's like an ongoing. It's the organization was founded in 2013, and they've been doing a lot because there's a lot to do, a lot of hardship. But thank you for, in spite of all the things happening in the world, there's always crazy stuff going on, and I think it's super important to hang out and create something together and focus on beauty. And I feel like what these people convey with their music is so incredible, and it's such a wonderful gift that they share with the world. And it is an honor and pleasure to be able to partake in it by drawing them. And it's so nice to do it with you. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to flip through everything that I've just sketched now. Have a look what I've been doing, and I'd love to hear from you. What do you feel has been successful in this sketch session? If you have a clear favorite of your own or of mine, if you have entered the giveaway, you might be like, oh, which one would I like to win? And ink's still a bit wet here, so I'll have to be careful. Yeah, there are definitely some things that some that I feel like kind of stronger images than others. This one I feel like could have done with a bit more time, but that's okay. They all exist as what they are, and that's part of the thing. By doing lots of practice together, that we just get a lot of experience seeing a lot of different faces, just having the experience of seeing different faces and sketching so many different faces, I think is great. I like how this one turned out. That was cool. Yeah, and actually this is really interesting. Like the first couple I really liked as well. I feel like it's interesting. I feel like some of the earlier ones I really liked, and then there were some really challenging things along the way. Thank you for sticking with me if you're still here. I really like this dark one. That was cool. And yeah, so an interesting group of faces and a wonderful array of music. In the coming days, I will timestamp this recording. There'll be a replay available, and you'll be able to jump to particular portraits if you would like to spend more time with anything. And I will also put the names of all the musicians in the description as I do the timestamping. So yeah, you'll be able to check that out. And thank you so much to everyone who joined in Zoom. I always have the Zoom room open when I do one of these. And I do a giveaway, and one of you is going to win. And I will let you know. Make sure you're in touch with me. If you're on Instagram, it's really cool to be in touch. Sometimes the usernames aren't the same. There's no direct messaging on YouTube. So I need to do some research if someone wins who's not on Instagram. But yeah, anyone could win, and I will send it to anywhere in the world. And it was so nice having you all here. Tom says the man with the beard. Maybe I can get it if I win. Oh, you didn't say if you win, but maybe you can get it. Maybe. Good night to all. Yeah, I really like this last one. It was the reference I was most looking forward to drawing. And I feel like it was a good end to the session. Thank you, Guru. Thank you everyone who has joined throughout the evening. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Take care, and we'll see you here again in 2 weeks, or maybe tomorrow, because I'm doing daily live streams all day all month. So until the end of February, I'm doing daily 10-minute portrait live streams. Just one though, not 10 10-minute portraits each day, one 10-minute portrait each day. And it'll be lovely to have you join us. Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. Cool. Yeah, thank you Zoom friends. I've ended YouTube's, now it's just us. Thank you all